Hello, my name is Munir Abbas. I did 1 year computer science diploma from Patman in 1996. In 1999, I joined a software company, Automat Private Limited. In 2003, I went to England for higher education. I did master in computer science in pervasive computing from Birmingham City University, Paribas. And 2009, came back to Pakistan and joined a software company in Logic. Since then, I have worked with different software companies. Last 5 years ago, I had worked as a director development for Addis Technology Private Limited. As a director development, I played two roles. First is team management. Second is full stack developer on a mobile, especially on a mobile and the web. I have worked with the iOS, Swift, Objective-C, Android Java, and PHP MySQL, Ajax, jQuery, HTML, DHTML, and Redchat, Node.js, WebSockets programming, and real-time application development, Linux, and Windows, and multiple platforms I have worked on. Right now, I've been working on a Unity for 2 months. I know Unity, how it works and how is it. And my last 5 months ago, my client uh, said he wanted to a game in iOS. So first I made in by using the Swift, but he changed his mind and wanted to challenge and start work on it. I'm going to show a 2 months work, little work which will make sense. How does I work on Unity? Okay, let's move on now. First, I'm going to show you some UI and then code. This is a login screen, and down there a register button. I click on register. It shows it and sign up information. Click on the back. So this login back. I can enter the mobile number and the password. If I enter test mobile number and password, click login, is open the dashboard. How this dashboard contains the few games. First is Lotto, second is Scratch Card, third is Poker, fourth is Slot Machine, and More button which contains the sub menus items. Last is Quit. If I click on More button, then you can see the My Profile where user can change his information. And if I click again, then down there is a bank card. When I click on the bank card, the bank card will open the bank information if user already filled in. Here is a log, debug log, error log. I will show you. Because this bank card, this information passed to the web server send this information to the payment gateway, and payment gateway will validate it and can back to a response to the web server, and web server send back this response to the client. If I click verify, and this information will pass to the web server and then payment gateway. Okay, I got the verification is okay because this task credit card information is valid. If I put the wrong payment credit card number, then verify, then you can see it has been filled to validate. Okay, I put back the right number to validate it now. Verification is okay. Okay, down there you can see the safeguard permission is optional by default. If you don't want, you can uncheck it, but I want to leave it now. Legal, about and context are normal. Play Lotto. These games I want to tell you, this game also contains the dashboards, its own dashboards. There's There's some ball falling animation because it's using the rigid body and the colliders component. And next is next lucky draw information, when this draw will happen on this date and time. Down there you can see the price information per second and third prize. These prize also contain the three items, and they are different from others. Second prize contain these items, and the third prize contain this item. If I want to play, so I can click on it. There's a 6 ball here. Left 5 has to enter 1 to 70 numbers, which is a normal ball. The last one is red, which is called super ball. We take 1 to 26 number. I can enter manually, or I can choose auto pick. If I choose auto pick, the all random generated number will show on the wall. I can clear it. I can enter manually myself. I cannot enter duplicate. Okay, when I exceed this number, for example 1 to 26 Super Bowl ticket, so if I exceed it by 27, so it will check. It has to enter the right number. I can enter the duplicate, for example already last 4 ball taking 20, so I cannot enter 20 on the Super Bowl or either any ball. If I submit, so it will duplicate number found, number 4. Okay, has to change it. 14 is now in there. So okay, how many drawing wanna play? So I can open the drop down and can choose any number which wanna play. And if I want to play 2, so after tweaking this drop down, the price is changing. Okay, I put back 1 on down there for an extra 0.5 per ticket. Make it as a Super Bowl. By default is on. If you don't want to Super Bowl, you can check it. The price is also being changed when you take or not take. Okay, if I want to take, so its price is $1.5. So if I click, which one is missing? Okay, Super Bowl is missing. All these data are submitting to the web server. You can see here, and this response is all done. Would you like to play more? If I click yes, so you can see the ball coming back. I will show you when I click submit. If I choose auto pick, I want to play now. Okay. Here is the payment gateway response. Every time I use the error log to see the error when going with the web service. For escaping from the MySQL injections, I'm using the MySQL I prepared and bind the data through the array. Even I can use the PDO library for escaping from the MySQL injections. I will show you the code. 1 second, please. Right. All done. Would you like to play? If I don't want to play, so it go back. Okay. You have seen the load, and if I jump to the sketch to win, this is also the dashboard, sketch card dashboard, and here are the few buttons. 467 pre-play because already played before you, that's why it's 467 there. And the more options, as you've seen before, the bank card is already here as the other content as well, other UI as well. Okay, when I click on the bank, the same UI coming from through here. History, cash out, free play. History also, history by default there is no history found. User can choose any month or day from the drop down list. Okay, and the cash out, if user having any winning amount, so he can redeem it through here. For example, I already won $10 or $20, so I can redeem it through by entering the amount which you want to transfer from here into my credit card or debit card. Some animation behind the text and the pricing information on the dashboard, and down there winning amounts. At the moment I haven't got any winning amount. When I click let's play, then you have to choose the themes from the list. There are the different themes, and having 3 options, just like the radio button does it. Single selections. Okay, if I go with the cheetah, 5 card on $2 on play now. It's loading the sketch card themes. Okay, I'm using the sprite mask here. I got 1 to 5. If I start the sketch now, and you can unveil the information. Free play. Okay. No winning. Okay. Last. Sorry for bearing with us. Okay. The amount $2 has been charged and already played 5. I can choose any themes what I want, and after choosing, when I click play now, the amount will be charged from your credit card or debit card. It has been charged. I'm just storing these information by using the basic decode serialize. If you want to decode it, I can use the base 64 decode and unserialize through PHP or any language, and the way of programming is the same, but API can be different. Okay, if I go to the poker has to work on it, but working on the slot machine now. We're still working on it. Here is the slot machine dashboard where you can see the pricing information and the winning amount. And the more options as the other has. Here is the same. For example, bank card and history and so on. Okay, if I want to play, let's play, click on it. So it will load the theme page, slot machine theme page. There is the few options and the total. When I go with 5 cents per spin, then what does mean is that to win 6,003 bars, if I take 10 cents per spin, so to win 7,003 cherry, if I click on 25 cents per spin, so to win 8,003 crown, 50 cents per spin to win 9,003 diamonds, and $1 per spin, 10,037 jackpot. Okay, down there you can see if I go with $1 and choose number of spin, by default is 5 and its amount is 5. If I take 6, then its amount is going to change. Okay, because I already said I've been working on this slot machine, so if I click play now, the rest of some information will not be telling. This is the main slot machine. You can see the sprite, the girls and the price are sprite, and the lights I'm using point lights and flashing after each button. Its speed is quite normal, and down there here is a slot machine and handles and 3 buttons below the screens. On this screen there are the 3 slots which will animate after pulling or pressing the button, and the center button has to change the text by spin after completing this UI. So I already done this major functionality on this screen, so minor changes are required to fix it. If I click on the center button, it will start, and you can see some animations and sound effects. Rest of information are static, has to change after completing it. Okay, if I click press, okay, and winning prize, I'm alerting this winning or losing information here. A random prize, already shown you by pressing this spin button. If I pull this handle, okay, I think it's enough. I have to show you rest of major technical things which I have worked on it. Okay, first is database. Here I made it like create information, country and different country. At the moment I'm using 2 countries, any country where I want to launch this game, I will insert here cron jobs APNS, Apple Push Notification Service, and APNS user and cron. I'm using the cron for storing the SMS. The cron will call through the script. I will show you the cron in a second. I can show through here. There are the two major folder. One is mob and the one is web. Web is UI designing, mob is for business logic. Mostly I like to work on a MVC design pattern or MVP or MVVM, because I work with the T-tier application last 15 years ago. Here I'm using, I'm showing you. Okay, cron job. Okay, here's a cron job for different countries. Right now, if I show you for US, you can see server delay because this Mac OS using the 4 GB RAM. So I'm bearing how I'm bearing I cannot. Okay, this is a cron job which I've been using. This is the class for any work in a PHP. I make class and extend to database or any major class and call the constructor and destruct the object as well. For example, if I sending the push notification, I'm calling this method. If I want to send SMS or emails, so I'm calling here. So everything comes through tables database and post it through this cron. Here I'm using the base and code serialize or deserialize things. Here's it was for push notification. Here is for SMS and here is for email. Okay. Lots of cron job have work on it, so I like automations, so mostly I use it and I like it to work on it. This WS folder means web services, and these classes are using for major purpose entities. For example, customer is using the class and class is there. Okay, the customer get information and everything is class based, and using the instance of this class and executing through this instance encapsulation. Okay, if I show you the base class, the base class is extending I don't want to write, require or include once in everywhere, so I use restrict request and the class path, this classes, and every folder and subfolder which contain the classes automatically included here. I don't need to include in any class. I just include through base class, and this base class extending to the database, and constructor and destruct. This on the destruct, this will close the database, and on the construct it will open the database. Here the parent constructor will open the database. And this major functions, the most of the classes are using the MIME type multipart data for uploading binary data for these functions. Okay, I've shown you the base class and the subclasses which I am calling through the clients or here. This is means customer, the client, mobile client or any client, and these they can call through this class. And if you want to invoke these classes, so I will show you in my code how you can invoke these classes. Okay, if I jump to login, here's a login which is extending to the base. The base is extending to the database. Validation also checked in a client side and the server end, and binding the SQL into array for escaping from the SQL injection. Here we go. How can I use this get method? Here MySQL I prepare and then call user function array, bind param and reference value. Reference value you can see. Here. Okay. I also checked SQL injection myself through the some functions, and using the MySQL I prepare and binding param and then execute. Okay, I'll show you the login. First look in my Unity. Okay, before I dive into the login, I want to show you the main class, which is a base class, which are using some object. It is using the sound, all button sounds and the background sound. Loading panel, all web services or classes are using the web services, and the message box either on success or failure. And the rest of the information, the most of the classes are using the variables currency sign, because it is for multiple countries, so currency signs can be changed. So it is why I'm using here without to initialize and unassign. It takes long, and it is why I don't want to use the repetitions of code. So major most of the functionality where the children need it, so I use in the base class. The base class are using the sounds and the prefabs. Loading bar panel and message box are the prefabs. I'll show you. Here's some prefabs. I'll show you first. Loading bar. Let's look like. Here you go. It's my loading bar, which I made through the sliders myself. And the message box, here's the message box, and confirmation box is there, and quick confirmation, and some animation through particle systems. I made it myself in the star particles. I like this animation star animating, and some other are which I will show you on time. Flashlight where you have seen on the slot machine. Okay, some after down there you can see the message box class instance. I have not initialized yet but just defined it, and simple JSON node object which I just defined there, and some variables, and the variable of the list data type which will take a string, already storing for using into the drop down. The most of the classes are using the drop down, for example for showing the history through months drop down. So all these months populate through this instance. This method will call through every child process, and because all these are using the prefabs, loading bar, and the message box. This prefabs object will initialize, and this will get component through rect transform and set parent of the loading bar transform. Similar for the message box, and these prefabs also get components of this class will assign to this object. Down there I'm using also I'm taking care of the track exception handling in every class, because I focus to use this track exceptional handling for escaping from any error in case, or eliminating the crashing points. Okay, I'm using the JSON file if it's there, so it will store, it will parse the JSON and store into this object, and this object contains some information which will be stored into the game manager instance, which is a singleton instance of are storing this information into the singleton instance, which I can, after storing, I can use from any class anywhere. This base class also contains the show message method, which takes two parameters. One is title, second is message. This method will invoke to the show method and send this param to there. Also, I'm using the load image, which are taking two parameters. One is control, image control, and means sprite. Sprite are different. Image is different. Image is a component of UI. Sprite is a component of 2D or 2D sprite or sprite mask. Here I'm using the UI, so which will store the binary data into this image sprite. So I'm calling this URL. This URL will make a file name, and then check into the cache. If it's there, so it will load through the cache instead to load calling this web request. Okay, when this cache doesn't exist, this file doesn't exist in cache, then it will load through the web server. All the binary data will write into the web server local drive as well. This control are storing into the sprite, and the next function is load sprite render. Because control are different on the above there, the UI control image has been used. Here the sprite render, which is a sprite 2D component, which does the same as the above function does it. Okay, sorry. This function also check if this file is in a cache, so it will take from the cache and store into the sprite. Otherwise, it will call to the web, it will call to the URL and store the binary data into the sprite by making the texture 2D. This is a next last function is get random color, which will generate a random color in where the child class will need it. Okay. This was the main class. If I show you, as is Loto, it is a base class also, which are extending into the main as well. The main. This Loto base class also you can use the main functionality, but it has some different functionality from the main. Here the some here the object, JSON object, and here are some float variables. Here it is some two-dimension array which contain the 3 row and 3 columns. As we have seen the price in the Loto, when I click left and right, the information are changing through this variable. This load lot will call and store this JSON information into this object, and this object contains the other information which are storing into the variables. As you've seen random number auto pick, when I click on the auto pick, it will generate auto random numbers through these functions. And then sketch card, base card, how it does look like is also extended to the main and having the different instance. And for example, to here the two JSON nodes object and the rest of variables, 2 are integer and 2 are constant string. I've used the player prefabs for storing, setting, and getting through the for example, just like in iOS they use user default, in Android shared prefabs. The mostly we use to store the information into XML file or somewhere for getting next time when you load the application. Here in Unity we use the player prefabs. I'm getting the integer value from this through this instance. For example, I can set it. How can I? Player prefab dot set int, and then take string and then value 3 character and then value 3 2. Okay. This way is storing and this way is getting. there, if the scard file is JSON file is there, then store this object information into this object, and WinLogic JSON file parse and then store into this object. Now the slot base how it look like is also extend to the main helper having the different object. It contains the WinLogic and WinAmount variables. Okay, I close that. Then we'll show you the web service. How does it work? Has look like. If I click on WS, it is a WS class having the static method, which I can use by using the class name and the method name, which are taking some parameter, and the last parameter is callback method, which return back to the string. The view information which I have been using for posting the data to the web server, which are UDID, hardware, device token, and web service key for security purposes. Okay, and every time when you call the web services, these static data will pass to the web server. You don't need to rewrite this repetitive information. This will post, and the web server will return back the response here within this try catch. If it's network error or HTTP error, the callback will return the error. Callback will return the error, and if it's in success, callback return the text message as a string. Okay, how we can call to this web service, I can show you. 1 second. Here's the way of calling. In the login screen, I'm just calling as a post required method param, and the login data mobile param and the mobile text password and the password text. I can show you 1 second. In login screen, here it is, mobile request and the password and the UDID and the device token, which is creating the instance of it and storing here in the construct method. This login doesn't have any object. I have not made it because for the security purposes. The other class are using by very dynamic way for escaping from any attack. Okay, you have seen the variable which this PHP are using through this code. Okay, this have you seen the multi-threaded application and use the deadlock things for escaping from the deadlock? You have to use the synchronize way by object or instance. Okay, here I'm in Unity. I use the start coroutine. Inside there I have to enter the method variable instance parameters, and the callback will get the string as a JSON. It will pass through here JSON node and will check from this line. If the error code is 1, it means success. It will write the JSON and call the dashboard scene. Otherwise, on the error, it will show the prompt as a message box, or otherwise, it will show the reason of failing. This is the way of my working. The last, if I show one by one, register, I can show you. One second. All these classes are extending to the main because they are on the root, but if I go into any game, specific games, they are having their own subclasses. Here are the input fields and some validations here, and the sounds. You cannot see the sounds instance on there because it's already in the main. Here you go. Okay, quite simple. And this update method, every frame called update method, but there is no animation or anything to handle through here. After validating, it will send all data to the web server, and this will parse and give you the response. Okay, after register and the login, you have seen the web service as well. I'm using some confirmation and game manager classes, confirmation box, loading bar, and the message box, object shaking. As we have seen the example, when I enter the low two numbers, it will on the wrong number it will shake. I'm using here how to shake. This method will call scene manager. Scroll snap rack I'm using as a list view. Toast 3D text. Have you seen in the slot machine the text come up? Helper class everywhere. Sorry. Okay, if I jump to the first lotto, okay, lotto, I can show you across. You can see and CC panel means credit card panels, confirmation box, because very few where the confirmation has been used, so I don't need to put in the base class, so I'm using here where I need it. And the collider, because the ball falling down, because they have the gravity. This is the way of my working. Rigid body, I'm using this component. Adding the listener when you enter in the digit into the ball, so this function will call and check the wrong if your number is exceeding or within the range. Calculation. Update is already here. Because this method, you seen that when the ball rotate, you enter the number, the ball should on the 0 degree, because it will not on the 0 degree, then you cannot see the digits, right digits direction. I am using here. When it's finished the rotating, so it will uh, go on to the 0 degree here. It's a way of my working. Lots of code. Within 2 months I have done this. I didn't know the Unity, and all my experience I've used it by watching the videos and started work on it. How to pick will generate the random numbers. It's validating. When you click submit, it will validate the duplicate auto print number. Then it will post to the web server. And then confirmation box will ask you one or more or go back to dashboard. Okay. Not a dashboard. History. Within this loop, all the cell are generated like a grid view. And then when the same loop you can see, but the prepaps are different. Prepap is different. Low to winner prepaps, and here is the history prepaps. History container. Okay. Helpful. Which will help to the base class. And collusion. I made it. I'm controlling through the tag. Okay. And then load to after sketch card. Sketch card, where is sketch card? Okay, here is. Here is the base class you have seen, and the cache out. Cache out. Very simple. And dashboard. Prices things. Setting here into array and changing into the update function through this index after some delay, and the web service calling. And the preplay and this is my way of working. Slot play, scratch play, sketch card play. SC means scratch, C card and play, which is extending to the base base SC, and it is extending to the main. How does it look like? Next card, if you remember, if you wanna scratch, if you already scratched, you wanna next, after clicking, then there is some gameplay. I take care of line indentation and way of working neat and clean. Not for me, and for other, I take care of it for the other developer or any. This is my way of working a slot machine. That's a slot machine. I'm going to show you themes, and see that way of working my themes. Toggle 1, toggle 2, there's the 5 cent option, 10 cent and 25 cent, so on, and the calculation of here. I'm using this drop down options here, operating and converting into the floats, and then multiplying by values and getting the net or showing into the net amount. And after completing, I'm storing to the singleton instance. Last is slot machine, quite slightly different from the others way of working. It has one more class row, which is extending to the mono behavior. I don't need to, every class should extend to the base. Somewhere you have to extend to the mono behavior, but the slot machine is extending to the base class. Handler controller, which is rotating, and if I click on the spin button, this function will call. And handler controller is here. In the handler controller, in there, the way of my working. There's some game object, audio source, flashlights, and serialized period. I made a private, but because some security reason I use it as a private encapsulated, and serialized field means that I can use price tags into sync with object. I can show you how can I. For example, price tags, you can see the private. Then private means it should use in this class. Its scope is within this class, but in the UI, it shouldn't. If it's uncommented, so it shouldn't show in the UI. But if I use this serialized field, then I can use it. Price tags. How I can show you where it can show the scene and slot and slot machine, and here is a handler. Here's a canvas. Slot art. Okay, here is. What was the name of it? Price tags. Price tags is a game object. Okay, it is a UI, I think. Win or not, it is. Yes, here it is. Price tags. You can see price tags here. Price tags. If I will uncommented this as full, then it shouldn't show it. I'm sorry it's taking so long. Well, you can see my code. Here's a pull handle statement. Sorry. Okay. This takes some time because it's too loaded. Okay, it's gone. Price tag is gone. Sorry. I pull back. Okay, I go to the row. This is it.